My high school teacher said I'd never be a writer. 15 years later, I was invited to speak at her retirement, with my best-selling novel in hand. I still remember the exact shade of red ink she used to write UN realistic Carbria CHOIS across my college application essay. Mrs. Peterson, my 11th grade English teacher, had a reputation for brutal honesty that the school administration called preparing students for the real world. When I told her I wanted to be a novelist, she laughed, not a gentle chuckle, but the kind of laugh that burns itself into your memory. Hannah, you need to be practical. Your grammar is mediocre, your storytelling is derivative, and publishing is a lottery where even talented people fail. Something attainable. I was 16, shy, and believed teachers knew everything, so I changed my college application from English literature to business administration. I tucked my half-finished fantasy novel into a drawer and tried to forget the characters whose voices had kept me company since 7th grade. For 4 years, I studied spreckets instead of storytelling. I graduated with honors and landed a respectable marketing job that made my parents proud, but every night I'd open that drawer and add a few paragraphs to my novel, a small act of rebellion against Mrs. Peterson's voice in my head. When I was 26, my boyfriend found the manuscript, over 400 handwritten pages by then, and secretly submitted it to a writing contest. 3 months later, I received an email that changed everything. I was a finalist. The prize included a meeting with a literary agent. That meeting turned into a presentation. Replication turned into a book deal. My derivative fantasy novel about a girl who could hear the thoughts of books became a New York Times bestseller, then a trilogy, then a The Ass adaptation. I never thought about Mrs. Peterson during those whirlwind years until I received an email from my old high school principal. We're celebrating Mrs. Peterson's retirement after 35 years of teaching. As one of our most successful alumni, would you consider being a surprise guest speaker? My first instinct was to decline. Why revisit that pain? But something made me accept. Perhaps it was curiosity, or maybe the 16-year-old girl inside me who still wanted validation. The day of the retirement ceremony, I sat in the back of the auditorium, my latest hardcover hidden in my purse. When the principal announced my name, the room erupted in applause apparently. My books had become required reading at my former high school. As I approached the podium, I saw Mrs. Peterson's face transform from polite interest, shock, to something more complicated. Many of you know me as the author of the Whispering Pages trilogy, I began. But 15 years ago, I sat in room 213, being told by tonight's honoree that I should give up on my dreams because they weren't attainable. The room went silent. Mrs. Peterson's smile froze. I carried those words with me for years. They nearly worked. I almost gave up. I paused, making eye contact with the students in the audience. But here's what I learned. True aren't fortune tellers. They can guide you, challenge you, but they cannot define your limits. I pulled out my novel and held it up. This book exists because I eventually stopped believing in other people's limitations for me. So while we celebrate Mrs. Peterson's dedication to education tonight, I also want to tell every student here, your dreams don't require anyone's permission or approval. Later at the reception, Mrs. Peterson approached me with tears in her eyes. I was wrong about you, she said quietly, and probably wrong about many others. Probably I agreed, handing her a signed copy of my book, Imphi I'd written. To Mrs. Peterson, thank you for teaching me my most important lesson, that sometimes the most valuable education comes from proving your teachers wrong. She teaches creative writing workshops now in her retirement, and her first rule for students, never let anyone tell you what you can't achieve, not even me.